Welcome to Horror Year, where every story is a journey into the unknown. If you're brave enough to face your darkest fears and uncover the most chilling tales, you've come to the right place. So, dim the lights, turn up the volume, and subscribe to Horror Year. Your journey into terror begins now. I was still living with my family a few months ago when it all began. I frequently found myself by myself at home after finishing my examinations and high school graduation. My brothers and I had our own hectic life with school and extracurricular activities, and my parents were rarely home. One of these calm, lonely evenings was when the first unusual thing happened. The house was empty when I got back from my walk, and at first, the quiet seemed reassuring. I went to the bathroom to freshen up, casually sitting on the sink table while recording a voice memo, a habit of mine when I had idle time. I was immersed in contemplation for about an hour when there was an abrupt, loud boom that shook the wall. It was not the sound of an explosion or something collapsing. No, it seemed more purposeful, as if someone had crashed against the wall with power. In the ensuing hush, my heart raced and I stopped, the words dying on my lips as I strained to listen. Time seemed to stretch cruelly, every second dragging by as I waited for another sound, for any sign of what might have made the noise. I heard it then. Steps. Soft, barely heard, but clearly emanating from the upper level. Since my bathroom was next to the stairs, it dawned on me quickly that whoever was up there would have to go directly by me in order to get away. I peered at the door, expecting to see a shadow cross the threshold at any minute. I felt petrified, my pulse pounding in my chest. However, the footsteps never went down the steps. They just stopped. I was out of patience to stay there. My instincts begged me to get up. I hurriedly descended the stairs without hesitation, daring not to turn around, and hurled myself out the front door. The cool night air did nothing to stop the pounding in my ears as I stood outside. I tried to make sense of what had happened as I stood there looking back at my house for what seemed like an eternity. I eventually realized I couldn't spend the entire night outside. So I gave my friend a call. With haste, she arrived, and together we cautiously opened the front door wide in case something happened. We looked everywhere, armed only with a kitchen knife and an umbrella. Every space, every nook, void. But then we discovered the rear entrance, open wide. I attempted to brush it off even though I wasn't sure what to make of it. I was back at home by myself a few days later. A phone ringing was the sound I heard as I stood at the entryway searching for something. Although the sound was distinct and crisp, it wasn't the same ringtone as any of the phones in my family. Even worse, the ringing ceased almost as quickly as it had begun. I went into each room looking for a misplaced phone, but nothing was there. No electronics, no justification. It was less terrifying now, more annoying. This thing, whatever it was obviously trying to trick me. But after that year, the weirdest meeting happened. One night, at 10 p.m., everyone was home. My younger brother was sound sleeping, my sister was in her bed, and my parents were downstairs. As per my usual, I was resting in bed with my door tightly shut. I enjoyed keeping it closed to preserve the warm ambiance created by my fairy lights. It was my door opening, and I heard it as I was watching something on my phone, methodically and slowly. As I raised my head, I saw something, a hand, just an arm, reaching around the door's edge and prying it open. My heart leaped, but I assumed it must have been one of my siblings. "Please close the door," I yelled. Stillness. Nobody entered. I stood up and walked across the hall to my sister's room, annoyed. "I didn't open your door," she waved me off, hardly looking up from her phone. "I'm on a call. Get away." I went downstairs to see my parents, frustrated. Engrossed in their film, none of them had ventured out of the living room. My younger brother was the only person still alive. I was prepared for him to be grinning and feeling pleased of his little trick when I marched into his room. He wasn't, though. He was sound asleep, his serene face scarcely illuminated by the faint glow of his nightlight. He was dead asleep, He didn't even pretend to be asleep. What I saw was known to me. That door had been opened by someone. My father checked the house once again after I told him. Once more, nobody was present. However, I'll never forget that arm and hand, and the impression that something, or someone, was watching me from the shadows. And that brings us to the end of today's delightful story. I really hope it had you on the edge of your seat. If you liked this story, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. It means a lot to me. And if you're new around here, feel free to subscribe. There's always an exciting surprise waiting just around the corner, and you won't want to miss it. Do you have a spooky story to share or a fun idea for our next tale? Feel free to share in the comments below. I'm really curious to know what gives you the creeps the most. And as always, take care, keep exploring. And remember, sometimes the most chilling tales are the ones left untold. Catch you in the next one, if you're up for it.